This conference will now be recorded.
All right, if everyone could press your mute button at this time so we don't get any feedback on the recording, that would be appreciated. Today is Thursday, September 3rd, 2020. It is 6:30 p.m. We will call our meeting to order after establishing that we have a quorum for a special meeting. So if you're here when I call your name, please indicate such. Councilmember McCabe?
Aye, here.
Thank you. Councilmember Crenshaw?
Present.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Priest?
Here.
Thank you. Councilmember Eason?
Here.
Thank you. And Councilmember Makowski, I believe, is not present this evening. Is that correct? Okay. So we have 4 council members. We do have a quorum for our special meeting. We will go on to public presentations and input. This will be presentations for items not listed on the agenda. It is a public hearing evening, so we want to save those until we are in our public hearing portion. I'll ask the city secretary if there are any that should be allowed to speak at this time.
Ma'am, I do believe everyone but one that has signed up is for budget comments, so I'll read the one that is not about the budget.
Okay.
Well, it's partially about the budget and partially not. It's from Lisa Wilson, and she just had a couple questions, and it was, what is allowed for community events, and why no contract labor in water/sewer budget? That's all she had.
Okay, thank you. All right, if there are no other items that are not listed on for budget, we will go on to our next item on the agenda, announcements from the mayor and council members. The only announcement that I have this evening are to let you know that city offices will be closed on Monday, September 7th in observance of the Labor Day holiday. We hope everyone has a safe and pleasant holiday weekend this weekend. Other than that, I don't have any other announcements. Are there any announcements from the council members? Okay, then we will go on to our public hearing. We'll open our public hearing at 6:33 p.m. The items on the agenda for public hearing are A, Rhome City Council to conduct a public hearing to hear citizen input regarding the proposed budget for fiscal year October 1, 2020 to September 30, 2021, and B, Rhome City Council to conduct public hearing to hear citizen input regarding the proposed tax rate for fiscal year October 1, 2020 to September 30th, 2021, and the mayor to announce the date, time, and place of the vote on the proposed tax rate. So before we get started, first of all, we're going to start with the list of speakers that the city secretary has. Each speaker will have 5 minutes to speak and give their input on either A or B, and the city secretary will keep the time for each speaker. So we will start with that. I'll turn it over to the city secretary for our first speaker.
Thank you, ma'am. The first speaker is Louis Godfrey, and he had asked that I read his statement. I have read over your proposed budget for 2020-2021, and I must honestly tell all of you that it is nothing more than a bunch of speculation. As the governing body for this city, you not only have an obligation, but a responsibility to be absolutely honest with the residents of this city. You must honestly show the residents of this city how you came up with the numbers on the budget. You need to show them how you determine the figures that you have proposed in the budget, and not a bunch of speculative numbers. For example, you need to show the residents just how you figure that the city court is going to make $409,000 plus next year. I doubt the court will make that much. I don't even think they will make 40,000. The police would have to write 1,636 tickets at an average of $250 a ticket to achieve a $409,000 yearly income for the court. and I doubt the police write that many tickets in the city ever. If they do, then you must be able to show the residents proof on paper. You cannot just put a bunch of speculative numbers on a spreadsheet and say this is our budget. Be honest with the residents and use more realistic numbers. Show them exactly how you came up with the figures on the proposed budget. Each department must use what they actually made for the city last year in income and start from there. The way you have a more realistic approach to your budget, and more importantly, it is true and honest with the taxpayers of the city. When you over-speculate a budget, you set yourselves up for a serious fall when you do not meet that speculative number in a yearly income for each department. You will never make me believe that this city brings in $3 to $4 million a year in revenue unless you show me the actual income on paper. You must be able to, as a governing body, show the residents that the city truly makes that much revenue on paper. And if you cannot, then it's nothing but speculation and not fact. Next year's budget must be based off last year's actual numbers, and then you adjust within reason from that point. Budgets are never exact, I know. However, if you start with the previous year's actual incomes for each department and how much each department really spent compared to what is budgeted last year, then you'll have a more solid base to which you can work from. And your next year's budget will be more precise. The taxpayers have a right to a properly prepared budget, and it is your job to give it to them. Thank you for your time. Respectfully, Louis Godfrey. The next speaker is Joanne Wilson. Ms. Wilson?
Michelle, the first page of the budget that you sent out, the very top of it has a strange heading on it. One, it talks about the, let me get the right words, the term de minimis, which means frivolous or, whatever. Why is that on there? What does it mean? Is that something you choose not to reply to? It's a public hearing. It's my understanding you can answer.
I'm working on the mute button. So the 5 minutes is still running, but the de minimis rate is the new rate that was passed by the legislature that is shown in this year for the first time. And so that number is calculated. The tax office, the county tax office provides that number to us. And it's one of the rates that they have added in addition to the voter approval rate and the no new revenue tax rate.
Okay, and what does it mean? Are we going to get $1 whatever attached to something at some point?
Hang on, let me get the definition for you real quick.
I know the definition. I'm asking what it means here when you say the rate is 1.002146.
That's the rate that's calculated based on the property tax values.
And you calculated that, or the county?
The county calculated all of these.
Okay, so we don't know what it is. Do we need to know?
It says if the city with a population of less than 30,000 adopts a tax rate that exceeds the greater of the city's voter approval tax rate or the de minimis rate, the city council must order an election to approve the adopted tax rate for the November uniform election date.
It just seems like it's excessive for whatever the hay it means. If we're looking at less than 50 cents for taxes, but they're saying we could go to $1, that seems weird.
That is thanks to the legislature. So if people are not happy with the de minimis rate and that calculation is part of what we have to do for the tax rate now, then I would suggest you petition your representatives on that. That is something that was given to us.
And no, they'll run right over and fix it. So you're saying the city of Rome, don't worry about it. Is that what I'm hearing?
For this year, we are lower than the de minimis rate, so it does not affect us this year, no. Okay,
that would have been a nice term to put on there. Okay, now when you go to the parks budget, they've got a $19,000 proposed budget. Will that be decreased by the $18,000 they owe to UTA?
What page are you on? I'm sorry.
Okay, the parks budget, I'm not sure where it is.
Okay,
It is
thank you.
19,000. Is there any leftovers hanging out? How is UTA going to be paid? I guess that may be my question.
UTA has already been paid. Are you talking about the Parks Master Plan? That's already been paid in the current budget year, so that is not necessary to budget for in the upcoming year.
So we've already paid them $18,000 without a final report?
No, it was not 18,000 for the Parks Master Plan. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but I think it was more like 10,000.
Okay. And also, you probably know the answer to this, but I was at parks today, and where does the mulch come from? When are we going to get it? It's very dangerous up there for kids to play. If they don't get bit by fire ants or stickers and they come off the slides or water or swings, there is no mulch.
Is your question, where is it at in the budget?
Yeah.
Okay, that would be under for the maintenance on the parks.
Okay, there's only what, and I don't have that right in front of me. How much do we have for maintenance?
Well, maintenance on the parks or family park. If it's specific to family park, then we would put it there.
Yeah, it's where, Michelle, I'm sorry, we're looking at the budget. If you know
Okay.
what page.
Yeah, page 18 of 25 is what I'm looking at.
Okay, hang on just one second.
Miss Wilson, your time is up.
Public hearing, I didn't think we had to have a time frame.
Yes, ma'am, we have 5 minutes, but I'll go ahead and answer your question that you had to start with. The mulch is going to come out of on page 18 of 25 for parks, the line that says family park. The budget for the proposed budget for the upcoming year is $4,000, and that would include mulch replacement at the park.
Okay, and as soon as we hit October 1st, can that be spent? It's dangerous there, Michelle.
We will pass this on to Public Works to see what can be done now and if it has to wait until October.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yes,
and the
ma'am.
other, like maybe where it could be a math error or whatever, but I'm sure y'all find those when you go over it.
Well, I think we're ready to move on to our next speaker for their 5 minutes.
Ashley Majors is next. Miss Majors, are you on the phone?
Yes, I'm here. Mine is just going over the road repairs to why we only have $120,000 in it, Michelle. Can you answer? Numerous times I've gone over the street repair on Dogwood. Can you tell me, have I brought that to your attention? Michelle?
Is in relation to the budget is what we can talk about. We can't get off.
I know, but I'm looking at the streets that you have listed here. Is Morris, the Crack Hill Roads and Ellis, and just on and on. But there's the streets that I've brought to attention, the city council. Do not see it on here. Morris Street. Are you looking at the bottom of the hill or at the top of the hill on Morris?
Okay, the list of streets has been provided by the Public Works Director, so that's not all inclusive of what may be done. He's using the guideline from engineers for capital improvements and the priority on the roads. So if you want specifics on that, we can get that, provide that at the next meeting. Also understand that we budget for things, but if something comes up that takes priority over what we budget, those dollars may have to be reallocated to a different area of roadway that may need attention.
Yes, ma'am. Which I know last year we had money pulled out from the road repair to allocate to another area. I'm afraid that this is going to happen again this year. I just would like our roads to be fixed. On the same page is our fire in EMS per shift, and I see the 24,000, which I'm happy about that. Are we going to get a time clock in there to make sure that they're getting paid for each EMS firefighter? To each one is getting paid? Do we have that in the budget?
We don't have a time clock for all city staff, so that's something that we can look at in a future budget year for time clocks overall for all employees. But yes, there will be a mechanism in place for tracking people just as employees are tracked. This 24,000 is considered contract labor, which would not be an employee. And so there are different set of rules that govern contract labor versus employees, but everything will be tracked. And
I'm sorry, you're cracking up. I can't barely hear you.
Okay, if everybody that's not speaking could mute their phone, because we're getting a lot of feedback somewhere. So if you haven't muted your phone, if you're calling, is that a little bit better?
Yeah, it is. This is the reason why. I know this is about budget, but this is the reason why I complained last week about y'all not having a video conference or having Facebook Live so I can see. So yes, I understand. I'm just, across the board. But, and I agree with Ms. Wilson to our parks. I was in the parks this week and brought it to her attention. Our parks are in shambles. So I would like to see more than $4,000 allocated to our parks. So I don't know if you can move money around from one to the next. If you maybe could walk around our park, I don't know, but to see if there's something that you could maybe put up a fence by that garage to put in mulch, because it doesn't look like it's been mulched in months, and the shrubbery around there is dead, and it's been summertime. So it's ashamed to what it looks like. So maybe look around that. That's the only thing I have to put my 2 cents in. So I appreciate your hard work. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate your comments, and we'll share those with Public Works.
Okay, the next one is Shirley Mize, and she has asked that I read her presentation. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. It is the City Council's responsibility, with the direction of the Mayor, to recommend a balanced budget for each fiscal year, including fiscal year 2020-2021, for the continued future of the City of Rome, Texas. The general fund is facing an anticipated operating deficit. The global recession induced by the corona pandemic derailed those plans before us today. As a result of the recession, projected general fund revenue will be dropped for each of this fiscal year and next. General fund revenue shortfall will be met by drawing down reserves or taking the funds from another budgeted item to use instead of what it was originally budgeted for. For the next fiscal year, it would be to recommend a combination of general fund operating department budget reductions and a further drawdown of reserves revenue gap. Where is the City Council's future on reserve of its yearly budgets? The resulting downward draw on general fund reserves, which City Council should establish in the first place to cushion the impacts of a deeper recession such as we find ourselves in now, and will bring our available general fund balance all the way down to a -% of expenditures, significantly devastating the City Council's long-term target for our city. If the city had a reserve in place, today's budget message persistently warn of an environment where tough decisions will have to be made. Without additional sources of revenue, more cuts in services are anticipated in coming years. Additional service cuts get incrementally closer to the city's core services. The coming years are here, and it is recommended that additional reductions are needed to the city's core services, which City Council, for the most part, should adopt. The additional cuts in today's fiscal 2020-21 budget, before passing this budget, others in the community feel that city salaries and benefits are too high. In order to continue providing current or even enhanced services at lower cost. These residents correctly note that local government services are delivered by city employees, not by software or equipment or capital spending. Even at current wage and benefit levels, even in the midst of the deepest recession since the Great Depression, it is recommended that change be made to the city's financial management policies of the budget that contains the annual recommended resolution in setting City Council's financial management policies. 5-year forecasts for major funds in the budget schedules of the budget document usually contains a 5-year forecast for our 7 major funds: general, administration, building and development, court, police, fire, parks, water, and sewage. Where is this 5-year forecast? Please revise your current proposed fiscal year 2021 budget in recommending additional reductions and stop the bleeding now and for the future of Rome. She lists other proposed budget concerns. For water and sewage, engineering services is planned at $66,000, lower budget, planned project before using spread over 5-year plan. Gas and oil, $8,000, too high, reduce. Utilities, gas and electric, $33,336.68. Are there mechanical timers in place to save energy when not in use? Salary, $72,800, too high, reduce. Wages, $172,577.60, too high, reduce. Overtime, $7,366.32, doubled from 2019, reduce and limit overtime. Walnut Creek said water, $275,000. Boyd's budget is $120,000. Review and revise. Tax rate. Has council compared our proposed tax rate today? Thank you for your time and consideration. Ma'am, that is all I have that has signed up.
Okay, thank you. In fairness to anyone who may not have turned in anything by the deadline, I will open the floor to somebody who has not spoken to give them the same courtesy of 5 minutes to give their input on the budget or the tax rate. So if there is anyone interested, please identify yourself by name.
Deborah Beecraft.
All right, Ms. Beecraft, you have the floor for 5 minutes.
Thank you. I am opposed to the increase in the tax rate. 2 years ago, when we borrowed at 2.6 or 2.75 million, we were not supposed to have to help pay that back. It was supposed to be on the backs of the new house owners over in Prairie Point. I realize they're not coming, so apparently we put the cart before the horse in borrowing the money before they started developing. And now, just like we had said, the M&O would go up, our tax rate would go up. Property values went up, and the city of Rome is also taking the tax rate up, and someone is not on mute.
Sorry to interrupt you, Ms. Beecraft. Could everyone except Ms. Beecraft please turn on your mute? Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Beecraft.
Thank you. The county, our property values went up, and the county lowered the rate so that the homeowners wouldn't be hit. And our property values went up, and yet the city is taking our tax rate up. So I am very opposed to that. I think it should have been left where it was. And then also, I think it is a good idea to have somebody on staff at the fire department, but we're already paying someone a part-time, and he's a paramedic, not just an EMS. So why can't we utilize him and have him there that 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday? And that way we wouldn't be adding another $24,000 to our budget. I mean, that kind of makes sense to me rather than adding more people in this coming year after the pandemic and everything that has went on. And I know there was something else, and I went brain dead. Anyway, that's where I want to stand on that. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beecroft. All right, I'll open it up to the floor. Is there anyone who has not spoken that is not on council that would like 5 minutes to speak on the public agenda item tonight? All right, if there are no other speakers for the public hearing, we will close our public hearing at 6:55 p.m. And then as part of the public hearing, I have to announce the date, time, and place of the vote on the proposed tax rate. The date will be September 10th. That's a Thursday at 6:30 p.m. The place will be, it will be in person at the community center if the governor does not extend his order of August 8th. If the governor does extend his order of August 8th, then the meeting will be held virtually. All right, now that we've read the date, time, and place on the vote for the proposed tax rate, we'll go on to future agenda items. Council, do you have any future agenda items at this time? Okay, if there are no future agenda items, if you think of something, please email the city secretary, city administrator of those agenda items. We'll move on to adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Councilmember McCabe, I see a motion. Do I have a second on that motion? Councilmember Eason, I see a motion on there. Let's go down the roll call. Councilmember McCabe.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Crenshaw.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Priest.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Eason.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Our meeting will be adjourned. It's 6:57 p.m. Thank you and have a good evening.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.